Hey guys, so welcome to video vlog number 4 on the 3rd of April. It's been a little while since I've done the last one of these. It's probably been like almost a month, which is crazy because I swear it feels like I did one of these like 2 weeks ago, and it's a lot longer than that, funnily enough. So training wise, I've had a few really good training days, but I've also had a few really bad ones because basically I've been sick for a couple of days. So I had a couple of days where I was just sick, and then led one thing to another. So I took some time off. But one message I've learned this week is if you're sick, listen to your body and rest. Like, hopped in my car the other day and I was like, I'm going to go train at Dermot's Geelong, see the guys. And hopped in the car, drove 10 minutes down the road, and I was like, yeah, I don't really have the energy for this. I'm feeling really shit. So I'm going to go bar at Dermot's, which is in Wendouree. And pretty much drove there, got to the parking lot, and I was like, yeah, I don't have the energy for this either. So then I went home, and then I was sick. So moral of the story is listen to your body. Like, my tip for you is if you walk into the gym and you're like, I'm not going to enjoy this, I'm just doing this because I have to, that's the point where you have to turn back and walk out. It's like, if you enjoy it, you know it's going to go good. If you're forcing yourself because you feel sick or injured, turn around and don't do it. It's more beneficial. You'll get more results from the rest than you would from the training. I think that's generally the best way to listen to your body. I had a few good questions tonight, so posted up, have a few questions of people. And the first question off the rank is difference between bodybuilding and powerlifting programs. So this is just a basic concept. So obviously the style of training is purely strength for powerlifters, and for bodybuilders, they use the term hypertrophy, which is muscle size and muscle growth. For me, this is debatable. Like, I think you have a bit of both. Like, powerlifters obviously have a bit of hypertrophy and bodybuilders have a bit of strength. But the thing is, with training, you might have a season where you do a bit of hypertrophy, a bit of powerlifting. You might do a bit of both. The term when you do both of them is power building, I believe. I believe that's a new coined term. So power building. And basically the difference between a powerlifter and a bodybuilder for me is the exercise selection and the repetition range. So obviously training for strength, they want to know that what their 1RM is. You don't see powerlifters rock up on a competition day and see how much they can do for 10. It's always how much they can do for 1. So obviously that's not really what they're going to train for, doing multiple reps. So the reverse is said for a bodybuilder. So you don't see bodybuilders who train for size do 1 rep of everything. They're doing multiple sets, lighter weight for time and attention, because there's this belief and science that shows time and attention stimulates muscle growth. So that's the big difference, the number and exercise selection. For bodybuilders, some might not do deadlifts because deadlifts kind of coined a sort of strength exercise. Same as with bench, they might feel they get more hypertrophy growth out of machines and dumbbells just because of the time and attention, where bench is more required and squats more required and deadlift from a powerlifter who's required to perform them exercises in a competition. So it can be one of the major considerations. Also dieting, so different weights can be differently and diet can be different around powerlifters, strongman, which is the next level up above powerlifters, which is pure mass, pure like brutal strength. And obviously certain exercises might not be done by powerlifters. Same can be said by bodybuilders. So basically like core training, traps, calves. Like if you're training for aesthetics for a bodybuilder, like are you going to be worried about training your medial delts as much or your biceps? No. If you're a powerlifter, you're going to strengthen all your posterior chain, your back, all the muscles that you're going to use, shoulders through pressing motions. Also, when you see powerlifters train, we always give them shit. We always say they take like 5 minutes of rest between sets, where bodybuilders are like doing a gazillion exercises. I'm going to coin one of my friends here. I'm going to say Mr. Johnny Bravo, who used to train at Iron Oak with me. He used to like do 3 exercises, and I'd have done like 8. We'll walk out and I say, how many exercises did you do? He's like 2 or 3. I was like, I did 8, bro. So true story. Next question I had was getting sick, and this was one of my own questions I put in, getting sick with training. So it's not fun. It does happen to everyone, but you can limit the effects on your training. You might hear my voice sounds a bit croaky, that's why. The way to limit on your training is meal prep. So if you think when you're sick, not really going to prep healthy meals, I'm guilty of it myself. Like if you haven't prepped, you just order an Uber Eats or Noodle Box. It's happened. So by having your meal prepped like 3 or 4 days in advance, if you get sick, the food's there, you'll microwave it and there's no issues. Have your beef and rice, your chicken rice, whatever. Also drinking water, fluids, and taking protein. If you're taking a protein shake, that's going to limit how much muscle loss you lose, muscle protein synthesis. So remember to keep your protein up and have meal prepped for at least 2 or 3 days ahead, and that will mitigate that happening, which I've learned this week. And also, don't train when you're sick because you'll just make yourself worse. That you're more prone to injury, and no one wants to be around you when you're sick. I think this one was off Jake or Arlen. This one. So tips on reverse dieting and lean bulking. So reverse dieting is obviously like, let's say you've finished a cut. Let's say you're 80 kilos, you've cut down to 70 for a major cut, and you want to get back up and put on some size, some lean size, without just putting on fat. If you just increase, let's say you've cut down to that 70 kilos, if you just are on, say, 2,000 calories and you just jump straight to 3,500 calories, your body is not going to adapt really good to that. Your digestion is not going to be really good for that. So basically what will happen is you'll train for 3 weeks and you'll put on excess fat and you'll come back even worse than where you started. That's for sure. So basically the process now is to reverse diet based on your calories. So you'll kind of do limited cardio. You'll have obviously resistance training. You're not going to cut out training, and you look at your macros. So obviously if you're tracking, hopefully you're tracking your calories. You might add 10% back on, and then you might add an extra 400 calories, whatever it is, something that's manageable. Then you kind of ease out. So you pick a period for a reverse diet, which could be a month, 2 months, depending on the person. Everyone's going to be different. If you say cutting to 80 kilograms, or if you're cutting down to 100, big difference. So basically, eat high protein foods. Don't have too many snacks. Don't just finish your cut and go straight back to your old habits. Reverse diet. So do it in phases. So you might have like an extra 400 calories, an extra 400 calories, an extra 400 calories, an extra 400 calories over, say, 3 or 4 weeks. And that might be over 2 months. That gets you back to your normal, say, 80 kilos if it was. But that from then you'll be mitigating, lowering how much fat you've put on during that time, with a combination of training and proper dieting. Me personally, I reckon there's 2 types of dieting. There's competition dieting and then there's lifestyle dieting. Competition dieting is more like maintained for short term, 6 to 8 months. You're doing extreme stuff that your body doesn't like and you really like pushing yourself. Lifestyle dieting is kind of long term, and it's big changes made, like smaller changes made long term. For example, it could be waking up in the morning and instead of having, say, a bowl of cereal and chocolate bars, you're just waking up in the morning and just having the cereal, or swapping to a healthier meal such as oats or whatever, fruit. Basically, the smaller change will make bigger impact over time than a big change would make over short time, because you're less likely to stick to it. It's like if you say, I'm going to eat healthy all day, every day for 3 months, you're likely to cave, have that one cheat meal, and it throws you off track. And it's impossible to predict what's going to happen. You might have like getting sick, weddings, birthdays, funerals, whatever. And that just means you have that one day where you binge and it puts you back on that bad track. By doing smaller things, it's a lot more manageable. And I found that myself. Just one small change. So it could be 1 cup of water. And I've done that. I've found now that I'm drinking a massive thing of water like this, just because I ease it up over time, and cutting down like portion control. So like I'll still have a chocolate bar. I'll have like a bag of Kit Kats, and I'll have 1 or 2 Kit Kats. And I'll have it with a meal after a meal, and that's worked really good for me. So just portion control. And I think the 80-20 rule, so 80% clean stuff, 20% snacks and stuff you enjoy, is a really good model. Because you think there's 7 days in a week, 4 meals, so 14, 20, that's 28 meals. If you have like a portion of that, it's really only a small thing in the grand scheme. It's not going to affect you that much. It's less likely to prevent you binging also. And another question I got was, so I was wondering what foods I should be eating and how often. So this is the first part of the last question. So obviously high protein foods will have the most protein in it, which keeps you full for longer, helps with protein growth, protein recovery. So chicken's the highest protein, then beef, then fish, then dairy and whatnot. They're the main ones. Have a combination of foods, mix it up. Routine is really helpful. Sometimes you might have a different dinner every day, but try and have the same breakfast or lunch just for a bit of consistency. And fish and red meats and white meats are all good. So obviously you get your different omega-3 oils from fish, and get different food benefits from both red meats and white meats. So make sure I have a variety. Second part of that is how much should be training each week. Is there too much or too little? Basically, this is personal preference. As far as training frequency, 4 to 6 is kind of the sweet spot. So basically 7 days, I reckon, is too much. Like, you just don't get a full day to actively recover. You're always doing something. And there's very few training splits that kind of cover the 7-day training split. And same with 3 to 4. I reckon 3 is not enough for frequency. It kind of means you're just getting to train one muscle once a week. So 1 day for chest, 1 day for back, 1 day for legs, arms, shoulders. Having 4 to 6 is kind of ideal. I started at 7, then dropped to 6 and dropped to 5. Now I'm down to 4 and 5, and that's really good because you're not actually growing when you're in the gym. You're actually growing when you're in bed. So obviously you got what's the word for it? Muscle breakdown, which is muscle catabolism, which is breakdown of muscle. So obviously when you're in the gym, you're breaking down muscle and using the food as fuel. Let me get that right. And then obviously the building blocks and the covering blocks are your protein, your amino acids, which build up your protein, your new muscle. And there is such a thing as breaking down a muscle too much that obviously injures it and goes against overtraining. So yeah, and sleep's a big factor in that. So I think that was the main last question. Just in my notes, I think I've got to train in Derrimut's Cryo this weekend. So hopefully I'll see you down there either a Friday, Saturday or Sunday. Originally the plan was train a Friday, Saturday or Sunday, even a Thursday, and do 2 days per week. So I'm doing a 5-day training split, and 2 of them were meant to be Derrimut's Cryo. But with me getting sick and being busy the last 2 weeks, it hasn't really happened. So I've just been training back. But I do look forward to that and catching up with a few different people. So I hope everyone's training's going well, and I'll probably see you guys in the gym. Thank you for watching.